I saw it happen with my own eyes. The prince was bleeding, barely standing, but he still held his sword in front of Ezomo, ready to die for her. The war chief, Ezomo, raised his blade high, eyes full of rage. And then, the high priest spoke words that changed everything. A reminder of what happened in part 1. Prince Ologun, heir to the Edo throne, fell in love with Ezomo, a beadmaker from the Iron Bronze Casting Guild. Their love was forbidden. Only a noblewoman chosen by the oracle could be the prince's wife. The Oba, furious at his son's defiance, arranged the marriage to Princess Idia. Meanwhile, the war chief, Ezomo, who secretly desired Ezomo, plotted against the prince. A prophecy warned that defying tradition would bring doom. Betrayal followed. The prince was ambushed. The final confrontation took place at the Ovia shrine, deep in the forest. The prince, wounded, stood between Ezomo and Ezomo, as the high priest chanted something no one saw coming. The story, told by Oso, a palace guard. I never thought I'd witness a moment like that. I was just a guard, one of many standing outside the shrine that night. But when the shouting started, when the torches flickered like spirits were moving in the wind, I knew something terrible was about to happen. Prince Ologun was barely holding himself up. Blood dripped from his arm, soaking his royal cloth. Ezomo, the war chief, stood over him like a lion ready to strike. Ezomo was behind the prince, eyes wide with fear, her coral beads shaking as she held onto his shoulders. And then, the high priest's voice cut through the night. Stop. Everyone froze. The war chief lowered his sword just a little. The priest stepped forward, his red robes brushing against the shrine floor. His face was pale, his eyes dark with something fear. Knowledge. He pointed at Ezomo. She is not just a beadmaker. Murmur spread through the crowd. Even the Oba, who had arrived minutes before, leaned in. The priest took a deep breath. She is of royal blood. Everything changed in that moment. The Oba's face twisted. Lies, he roared. But the priest shook his head. Long ago, a child was taken from the palace. A girl. Hidden away. To protect the throne. He turned to Ezomo. That child was you. Ezomo's knees buckled. The prince caught her. The war chief's face darkened. No. This is a trick. The priest ignored him. He turned to the Oba. You sent your daughter away to keep her safe from those who wished her dead. She was raised among the beadmakers. But she is of the royal line. Silence. The Oba looked at Ezomo, his face unreadable. The prince's hand tightened around his sword. If she is royal, she can be my wife. The war chief lunged. It happened too fast. The prince swung his sword. The war chief's blade clashed against his. They fought like two lions in the dark, the shrine torches casting wild shadows against the trees. But the prince was weak from his wounds. Ezomo struck hard. The prince fell. Ezomo screamed. But before the war chief could deliver the final blow, an arrow flew through the air straight into his chest. Gasps. We turned. The Oba stood there, holding a bow. His face was cold. No one betrays my blood and lives. Ezomo fell, gasping, reaching for something he would never get. Silence swallowed the shrine. Then, the Oba turned to his son. You were right, he said. Love should not be a crime. He stepped forward, looking at Ezomo, at the daughter he never knew he had. And just like that, everything changed. Meanwhile, far beyond the reach of the kingdom, where shadows birth nightmares and men whisper his name in fear, lurks a beast in human form. Ologun, the warlord of 1,000 graves. A mercenary feared across lands, a butcher of kings, a maker of widows and orphans. He has no master, no mercy, only war. But today, the beast is wounded. His brother, Ezomo, slain by royal hands. His rage burns hotter than the sun, his grip tightens around his fallen brother's blade. And as the fire in his tent flickers, he utters words that will shake the gods themselves. The royal family will drown in agony. Their screams will echo through time.